Welcome to ThinkGrid's hosted virtual desktop management suite. This whistle-stop tour will take you through some of the basic features of our cloud-based hosted virtual desktop manager. This allows us to take care of any of the hosted virtual desktops that we have provisioned, allow us to debug problems, restart and stop, and provide other management functionalities as well. Before we begin, I'll enter my credentials so that I can log in on behalf of one of our customers. As a partner, I will have multiple logical views. A logical view allows me to group virtual desktops into different sections, either by customer, either by image, or however I want to manage it. This also allows me to provide permissions to other users within my organization to manage certain segments of the desktop interfaces. So at the moment I'm looking at one customer with 5 virtual desktops. Here in the infrastructure summary, I'll see that all 5 are running. They all have a Windows-based operating system, and they're all running in a container-based virtual machine environment. We can also see that 2 actually require attention. And in this case, we will get an alert telling us whether that issue is down to, say, CPU, memory, disk, or performance issues, and will give me the opportunity later on to rectify those issues. If we then take a view at the virtual environments, we'll quickly see those 5 again in a little bit more detail. We have hostname, a description which you can fill in yourself, the IP address, the virtualization platform, base operating system, disk and memory utilization, as well as obviously if the hosted virtual desktop is running, stopped, or started. We can provide some high-level management functionality by stopping and starting and restarting virtual desktops just by using the tools we have here. This allows us to take remedial action if we cannot debug an issue with a desktop, if there is a performance problem, or we cannot change the configuration for some reason. And again, I can take these actions myself without requiring a third party to take a look for me. So it empowers me as the IT administrator or the partner to take care of my desktops without a third party being present. We've also got the opportunity to look at backups of that virtual desktop. We can clone that virtual desktop as well. Cloning would be a useful idea if I wanted to roll out, say, 500 and I wanted to use exactly the same applications, I wanted to use exactly the same data and exactly the same configuration again and again and again, as opposed to trying to potentially install an application multiple times. We also have a search function at the top which allows us to pick a particular desktop that we're looking for. In case of a user phoning or a customer phoning, we can identify the desktop immediately, have a look at it in terms of its summary, click in for a bit more information. So here I can see that the desktop is running. It's so far up to date in terms of patching and various other elements. I can see what base OS is running and any of the pre-packaged applications that I've rolled out into that image. We've also got some networking information which we'll show in a second, and again some of the high-level functionalities we can do with this desktop. Stop and restart it, remote in so we can shadow, we can view services, and also we can look at the files within that virtual desktop. So again, we can take a lot of action without needing to log in or be present at the customer's site. If we have a look at the service manager, this allows us to really see what applications are running and which are stopped and started. As you can see, and we can see certain elements of the operating system here that we can affect by stopping and starting. So again, if we've got a startup program at boot, we can stop it before we start in case we want to get into it because that application, or that particular application, is causing an issue. We can also view processes as well. Again, this gives us a really good idea of what is running in this virtual desktop. What is the user seeing? What is the user doing? So that we can identify, obviously if it's a performance issue, what application is consuming the CPU, and we can take action to stop that process immediately from this console. We can also look at the network just to give us an indication of the IP addressing, both public and private, whether this virtual desktop is on a VLAN or a PVLAN. This will give us an idea of how to create this desktop and make it accessible to a file server, an app server, or even RDP. Going back to the summary, this gives us that very quick view of this desktop. Thank you very much for listening.